the pace a little bit. 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. So I went onto YouTube, as you do. I typed in funny Parkinson's. I got a video by Video Covin where she talked about things you could only do if you had Parkinson's. Changed my attitude to gratitude. So I gave myself a new nickname, Lady Shakes a Lot. And I started thinking about the tremor in my left hand as a superpower. What could I do with a superpower like this? I could be a bartender, specializing in James Bond martinis, shaken, not stirred. I could be an usher in a church. Every Sunday morning I'd go in and shake all the bodies, make sure they're still awake. I could be a vending machine attendant. When it steals your money, I'd shake the machine to get your candy bar out. I could work in a grocery store. Every day I'd go in and shake all the orange juice bottles. What else? I could work in the movie industry, specializing in earthquakes, special effects. I could work in a morgue. Every morning I'd go in, shake all the bodies, make sure they're still dead. About several years ago, a couple years ago, I was reading that if you want to improve your creativity, every morning spend 10 minutes writing down things that you would like to see in the world that don't exist now. So I thought that was a great idea. Recently I looked back over my list. I found 3 things. One was stories from Grandma. One was roads that drive us. And one was perceived time. So stories from Grandma. Now I know there are lots of stories that my grandma could have told if I had thought to ask her while she was still alive. I think that will be true of me too. By the time I'm gone, my kids and grandkids will figure out things that they wish they'd asked me. So what if I could attach stories to things that I pass on to them? Like the teacup my great aunt gave me. She was a missionary in Japan. She had wonderful stories to tell. One of her stories was when she came back from Japan for World War II, General MacArthur had to come and ask her to be a translator. She didn't want to translate for the U.S. Army. She said, Japan will never let me come back if I do that. He said, I promise you, I will get you back to Japan. She spent the rest of her life working there after the war. One of the stories she told me about that time was going to lunch with a princess at the palace. She noticed there were cones, paper cones, sitting next to the silverware at the lunch place setting. So she asked the princess, what are these paper cones for? They're for spitting the cherry bits out. What a clever idea. The other story I would like to pass on to my children is from my brother. He was a helicopter pilot in Vietnam. He told us this story this past summer about what he calls his Young and Dumb series. He was flying somewhere where it was hot, as they say. And his navigator said, oh, look at the beautiful balloons on the side of the helicopter. Oh, look, there's some more on the other side of the helicopter. My brother took one look and said, those are tracer rounds. The next ones will hit us. And they tore out of there. Any of you have been on drugs? I haven't, but I'm told that this guy was on drugs. And that's what he was seeing. Balloons in the sky are really tracer rounds. So I'd like to pass on those stories to my children. So the last story I'd like to pass on to them is how my parents met. My mother signed up to be a dance teacher in college, but she wanted to meet guys. My father signed up to take dance lessons in college because he wanted to meet girls, and he married the dance teacher. So that's stories from Grandma. So roads that drive us. This actually wasn't one of my ideas. I was telling a neighbor about these lists, and she said, I'll tell you something I'd like. I'd like to be able to get on a road and have the road take me where I want to go. All I have to do is get on the road. I thought that was a great idea. So I started looking up GPS stories, found out that there's some things that GPS is bad at. If we had roads that drove us, might solve these problems. For instance, there was someone in the state of Washington who used GPS to take him to a boat launch. His car was sinking in the water before he realized what had happened. He got out of the car, he was fine, but the car submerged. Another GPS set of instructions took a driver in Manhattan. He was trying to go across the park, went down the stairs. The guy was able to get out of the car. but his car had to be towed off the stairs. So if we had roads that carried us, it wouldn't, I assume the roads would know where we were going. They wouldn't carry us places like that. Last one was someone who stopped just before the edge of the cliff. Wouldn't have a road that would go over the cliff. So a road that carried us wouldn't have those problems. So the last one was perceived time. It seems to me there's a big difference between time the way we tell it on a 24-hour clock and the way we feel it. So I would like to have some handicapping message that tells us how long it seems like something will take instead of how long it actually takes. Like a vacation may seem like it lasts about 2 days when it really lasts 2 weeks. Waiting for the doctor's report may seem like it takes weeks when it really only takes over the weekend. School to a child may seem like it takes a long time, so you have a handicap like L for long. So for a child, a school year lasts 2L, but for a teacher, it lasts 4L. I don't know if there are any teachers in the audience. School seems to take a very long time. But you might have to explain yourself. Your sister sees next to the calendar entry for her baby shower that you've written 2L because you think it's going to take an awfully long time. And she says, "What's 2L for?" And she says, "Oh," and you tell her, "Oh, that's just because I'm buying extra large clothes for your child so that they can grow into them." That's all I have. I'm Carol Covin. Thanks.